Pandas is the most used library by data analysts and data scientists. So if you look into any machine learning code, you would see that in that project, you would need Pandas library a lot. So if you are planning to become a data analyst or data scientist, make sure that you watch this video really carefully. Hi, my name is Rohit, and in today's video, we are going to cover Pandas library from the Python. This is a big topic, so I have broken it down into part 1 and part 2. In this part, we would cover how you can read data from CSV using Pandas, how you can access data based on rows and columns, how you can filter the data, how you can sort the data. All those functionalities are covered in detail in this video. So let's get started. So as you all know, Pandas is the most used library by data analysts and data scientists. So if you look into any machine learning project, you would see that most of the lines of code have some form of Pandas data frame or some form of Pandas functions getting used. So Pandas is really useful for manipulating the data, processing the data, and reading data from various sources like database, CSV, Excel. So all those functionalities are provided as inbuilt functionalities within Pandas. So that's why it makes it really easy to read data from those sources and then perform operations or perform machine learning model building on top of those data sets. Now let's get started. So in order to use Pandas, first of all, you would have to import Pandas using import functionality. So here we are importing Pandas as PD. So PD is just the alias or the short form that we are using for referring any functionalities of Pandas within this code. So it makes the code more readable, and we are importing it as PD because this is the most used short form by people using Pandas library. You can import it as anything. You can even import Pandas as say PS. That is also possible as well. But as this is the most used form, we would stick with it. Now let's start how to read the data and access it using rows and columns. So here we are reading a CSV file. So for that we can use read CSV function within Pandas. So pd.read CSV. So this is how we refer read CSV function within Pandas. And to it we are just passing the name of CSV which we want to read. So here we want to read housing.csv. So this file is at the same location where this Jupyter notebook is saved. That's why I'm able to read it. Otherwise, you would have to give complete path of this file so that Jupyter notebook is able to find that file and read it. Then here we are just printing the top 10 rows of this data frame. So the data in this particular variable data would be in the form of data frame. So here if we do data.head 10, so that would print first 10 rows. So as you can see here, this is the data we have. So basically now CSV data, we are converting it to the Pandas data frame by reading it using the Pandas functionality. So we have various columns in this data. We have price, area, bedrooms, bathrooms, and so on. So now this is how we are able to read the data. Then every column in Pandas data frame is a Pandas series. So if you do type data price, so that would be basically Pandas series. So every column is called as a Pandas series and this complete data is called as a Pandas data frame. Then you can get the list of all columns within a data frame using columns functionality. So if you do data.columns, so this is the name of data frame .columns, you would be able to get list of all the columns in that data frame. So these columns, so we are able to get list of all the columns using columns functionality. Then we can also check the length of a data frame using len function. So if you do len and then pass it the name of your data frame, which is data in this case, it would tell you how many rows are there in that data frame. So in this case, we have 545 rows. Then Pandas provides us LOC method, which we can use for retrieving the rows of a data frame. So in this case, if you do data.loc and then in square bracket, we are passing 5. So this would extract 5th row in data frame data. So which is the 5th row? This is the 5th row basically because the indexing is starting with 0. So it would go and take the row at index 5 based on the value that you are passing over here. So price 1085, area 7500. So this is the row we are able to get using the LOC method. Then you can also specify if you want just specific column instead of complete row. So now we are calling the same method, but here we are specifying the row, the index of a row and the column name. So we want index of a row 5 and value for column price. So if you do that, you would get only that value, only the value for price. So this is how you can access specific row and column using the LOC method. The advantage of LOC method is this indexes, right? So these are called as the indexes of the row. So here we have index in the form of numbers. Sometimes you might have index in the form of string or some other data type. So in that case, you can use the LOC method at that time as well to access those rows by index values. But suppose if you have the indexes in the form of integers like we have right now, you can also use another implementation in Pandas, which is the iloc method. So iloc method would use for the indexes which are in the form of integer. So here what we are doing, data.iloc and the index of row 5. So that would also print us the value of a row at index 5. Then we can also select multiple columns in Pandas. So for that, what we have to do is we have to just pass list of all the columns that we want to a data frame. So this is the name of our data frame, data. And then what we are doing in square bracket, we are just passing a list of columns which we want. So this would give us only those columns from the data frame data. So here we are able to get only price, area and bedrooms. So this is how you can select multiple columns in a data frame. Then you can simply get value for a particular column and at an index using this notation. So data, then the name of column. So we want data for column price, and for that we want the data at index 10. So if you go to column price and index 10, this would be the data basically that we would get. So this is how you can also access the particular row and column in Pandas. Then we can also filter the data frame using the filtering operations on data frame. So now let's assume that we have a furnishing status column, okay, and we want to filter that column based on the value. So we want to take only those rows where the value is equal to furnished. So what we can do for that is we are creating here a new data frame with the name data furnished, and we are assigning it a value based on the output of filter operation. So to filter the data frame, the name of data frame, then in square bracket, again you have to mention the name of data frame and the column on which you want to do filtering operation. So in this case, we want to do the filtering operation on furnishing status column. So we are doing data furnishing status and the condition. So it should be equal to furnished. So this would filter all the rows in data frame where the furnishing status is equal to furnished. And then if you print just top rows, so to the head function, if you don't pass any number, by default it would print the top 5 rows in that particular data frame. So if you do this operation, you can see that now in furnishing status, we are getting only those rows where the furnishing status is equal to furnished, because we have done the filtering operation over here. We can also do this filtering operation on 2 columns simultaneously. So we might have a requirement where we want to get data of all the houses where the furnishing status is furnished and the price is less than certain value. So in that case, you can do the filtering operation on multiple columns. So how you can do that? Again, we are creating a variable here, and to it we are assigning the output of our filtering operation. So name of data frame, then within bracket, we want to do the filtering on furnishing status column. That's why we are doing data furnishing status is equal to furnished. And because we want to make sure that both the conditions are true, so for that we have to use a AND condition, and data price, that is the price at that particular row, should be less than this value which we have. So this would filter the data frame based on these conditions, and then we would get only those rows where furnishing status is furnished and price is less than this value. So price is less than the value which we have provided. So this is how you can apply the filter operations on both the columns. Similar to AND, you can also apply OR condition in Pandas. So in OR condition, the row would be selected even if one of the condition is true. Here we need both the conditions to be true for that row to be selected in the filtering operation. But in this case, even if the one of the condition is true, even if the furnishing status is furnished or the main road is yes, that row would be selected in the filtering operation. So here for the OR operation, you just have to use OR operator instead of AND, and then specify the conditions that you want on both the sides. So here you can see that in furnishing status now we are getting furnished as well as semi-furnished as well as unfurnished, because for semi-furnished, if you go to the main road column, the main road value is yes, because we are giving a OR condition. So even if one of these conditions is true, that row would be selected in our new data frame. Then we can also get count of a unique values in a column using value counts function. So we have a value counts function within Pandas, which we can use for getting the count of unique values in particular column. So suppose furnishing status is a column in our data, right? And we want to know what are the different values present in this column and what is their number. Then what we can do is data furnishing status dot value count. So we are just calling a value counts function on this column, and that would tell us the counts. So this column has semi-furnished value 227 times. So there are 227 rows which have value equal to semi-furnished. Then we have 178 rows, or you can say 178 houses which have unfurnished value, and 140 values are furnished. So this is how you can use value counts function. Similarly, you can try a value counts function on other column as well. So here we are trying value counts function on parking column. So data parking dot value counts. So this would give us the value and specific count based on the parking column. So we have 299 houses where the parking value is 0. Then we have 126 houses or 126 roads where the parking value is 1. So this is how you can use value counts function when you just want to see the count and values. In a case where you just want to know the unique values present in that particular column and not the count, then in that case you can use a unique function in Pandas. So what you can do is data furnishing status. So this is the name of column dot unique. So this would give us just the list of unique values present in that particular column. So in furnishing status, the unique values which we have are furnished, semi-furnished and unfurnished. So this is how you can use the unique function. Now let's see how you can drop the duplicates from the data, because when you are analyzing any data, right, it might happen that you are having duplicate values in the data or duplicate rows in the data. So you might have to drop those duplicate rows first before you proceed with your further analysis. So let's understand how you can do that operation. So in Pandas, you have a drop duplicates function which you can use for dropping the duplicate rows from the data. So what you can do is data, the name of data frame basically, dot drop duplicates, and this would then drop all the duplicate rows from the data. So after doing drop duplicates, this is the value which we are getting. So we are not getting any duplicates drop because we don't have any duplicate rows. So when you don't pass any parameter to this function, right, it would drop a row only if all the columns of those two rows have exactly same value. So for example, column 0, for example, index 0 and index 1, right? So for these two rows, if all the values are same, only then the drop duplicates would drop one of those rows. But we don't have a data like that. So that's why we are not getting any rows dropped. But specifically, if you want to do drop duplicates operation on some specific columns only. Now suppose in this case, you want to do this operation based on the values in just bedrooms and area column. So basically, if we have any houses where the number of bedrooms and area is exactly same, you want to drop those rows. In that case, you can use a subset parameter and pass it a list of columns on which the drop duplicates operation should be performed. So in this case, Pandas would check for duplicates only based on these two columns and not based on all the columns, which was happening in first case. So then wherever we have bedrooms and area exactly equal to same value, one of those rows would get dropped. So if you have 3 rows where say bedrooms and area exactly have same value, then only one row would be kept, remaining 2 would be dropped. So if we do this on our data, then after dropping the duplicates, you can see here the length that we are getting of a data frame is 373. So this is how we are able to drop the duplicate values based on the specific columns. That's it for today. I hope you got good clarity on how you can start using Pandas for reading data and doing basic operations on those datasets. In the next video, we would cover second part of this Pandas video. So in the second part, we would cover how you can merge the data frames, how you can aggregate the data from the dataset using Pandas. So all those details we will cover in the second video. So keep learning Python and keep coding. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.